Hello everyone. Today I made the mistake of leaving my house. Something that I try to avoid because there's 35 degrees outside. And apparently it's 35 degrees at shade. And there was no shade outside. I thought I was going to die. Fortunately, I have survived and I managed to come back just in time to make this beautiful live stream to entertain you guys. Should have charged $2,000 for the cat's reveal. Because DSP did it. Like, I should look at the best. I should try to aim higher into the world. A lot of people are upset on WWII, which is always the first in my chat. Always the first. I will start showing you guys something very interesting. Do you know that apparently it's very racist to do what the far right does in naming the Jew? I understand it's called, right? Like you're not supposed to name the Jew because it's considered anti-Semitic or something.
On melting pot.
And some people managed to find by watching The Simpsons that The Simpsons actually named the Jew. There is this episode which I'm not going to play because I got a copyright claim, but. You got this cat which talks about diversity, right? And they're promoting like multiculturalism, I guess. And you get, another cat coming in. And they say like they like to play with yarn because yarn has all the colors, and that paperclip can marry scissors. And you got, like the tunnel of tolerance. And And I was like, wow, this is very interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know that The Simpsons used to be so spicy. It's called Melting Pot Mountain. The Diverse Kittens with the rainbow color. DVD edition. You got like the cat with this interesting symbol. Like, what did The Simpsons mean by this? One has to wonder. This happened back in the day when The Simpsons were actually funny. Like, I actually noticed this, and it's not just The Simpsons, right? Like, I grew up with MTV, which had Jackass. I mentioned this a lot of times, but it also had Beavis and Butthead. It had South Park, which was incredibly edgy back in the day. You had Simpsons, which also had, like, different types of humor. And now, if you look where Simpson is, it's like, oh, we're going to get rid of our minority characters because they're offensive and they're stereotypical. Like Apu is stereotypical. It's like no fucking shit. Like the entire show has stereotypical characters. I don't understand. Like, why would you want to add a minority character in a show that just mocks and ridicules all of its characters? And not to mention, like, Apu was actually a good stereotype. Like, he is an Indian that managed to integrate, open his own business, was a good father, like he learned English. It's like the type of immigrant that you would want. Didn't have any criminal record. Like he was the model, the model day American. But apparently, it's not okay to show him. Someone in the chat said, imagine making $1,000 for revealing a cat. Chat DSP versus Virgin V. I know. Like, I really need to look up to DSP to learn some new business transactions. How to basically monetize my chat a little bit better. You can't say milk the chat for money. You need to have like a more corporate, packaging for it. It's like monetize the chat or something. Yeah. My God, he scammed customers in every way possible, sold expired meat. Oh, I didn't know that. But still, it's like, it's your choice to sell, to buy from there. Yeah. Not to mention, like, that's not something that Indians do. That's something that a lot of shopkeepers do. Anyway, right. Let's talk a little bit about the news. Here's something interesting, right? Like, we're going to talk about Epstein a little bit again. Everyone talks about it. And they should. I think it's a scandal just as big as the Watergate scandal. It's just that nowadays the government can do a little bit more, I suppose, control over the public reaction by using social media, by using the mainstream media, by using the FBI, as I'm going to show you in a bit. Apparently, when this all happened, there was this article that came out, and I didn't want to read it because I was like, you know what, like this is too out there. Like, this is just way too outlandish. You know, this is clear bait. And the article said that when Epstein allegedly committed suicide, the camera in his cell stopped working. You know, and I was like, come on. You know, like that's some onion shit. You know, like, of course there is recording with him killing himself. Either that or there's no camera where he did it. But like, there is no way that there is a camera there that stopped working. Like, come on. Apparently, there was a camera there that stopped working. You know, like, it's just fuck. Yeah, I think it's the poltergeist. I think it's the prison spirit. You know, it's Casper, the spooky ghost that were like at the camera. Oh my god. Yo, my lovely Romanian. Did you see Sargon's Nazi? I need to make sure that the algorithm doesn't catch me. Video from a week ago. Do you agree that Nazism is the logic end result of being too German? He didn't say that is the logic end result of being too German. He said that Germans have the capacity of taking ideologies to the extreme, which can be a good and a bad thing. And in this case, you know, like when you start, I suppose, worshipping the Volk, you know, and you're basically saying that every single person that is the German people need to act in a certain way, and you create this greater good, that everything is good as long as it's, you know, for the greater good of the Volk, then yeah, I mean, you know, like other nations that don't have this mindset, like this fundamental way of thinking, would not be able to have an ideology like National Socialism, which, again, like National Socialism was a German thing. Like the Italians had a different thing. They had fascism. You know, so it is what it is. It's a philosophy that, yeah, it belongs to German culture, whether you like it or not. Manifest destiny, for example, is something that belongs to the Americans. Other nations didn't have it, you know. It's not genetical, but it's like based on the philosophies that exist before it. Like, you know, it's like building some Legos, you know, like the first set you put down and that's the foundation, and then when you go up and up, you can only build according to the foundation that you have. When illegal migrants push German women and kids in front of trains to get killed, the cameras also stop working. Weird, eh? I didn't know that. Like, you know, like the camera stopping working is very interesting. It's a Hollywood trope, isn't it? You know, it's like, oops, the camera just stopped working. He said that only Germans have the ability to become Germans, and that is the logical outcome of German philosophy. No other culture makes it possible. When you talk about National Socialism, yeah, but it's basically like, I don't know, like, I think the Russians, you know, they had the same mindset, and that's why they went through communism. Romanians had a similar mindset. But if you look at it like communism and fascism and National Socialism, yeah, they didn't catch in Britain, for example. You know, even before the war, even after the war, like you have to understand. Let me show you something, actually. You know, like let me show you something that probably a lot of people don't know, but I find it very interesting. I'm probably going to make a video about this. But why don't we have airships anymore? Isn't it a good question? Now, airships, they're quite beautiful. You know, they're like a means of transportation. I'm talking about this, right? Like Zeppelins. And they're, you know, they used to be quite popular. Now, of course, nowadays, you wouldn't get into a Zeppelin in order to fly over the ocean or something, because the journey would be way too great. But it would be nice to, like, have a cruise. You know, like, you could have this Zeppelin with a restaurant, and, you know, you could travel, like, from London to a different part of Britain, right? Like, from London to Scotland using a Zeppelin, right? The reason we don't have Zeppelins anymore is because of the Hindenburg disaster. which basically caused one of these airships to catch fire. And it was absolutely traumatic. Look here. So, right, after this, there were no more airships. Like, people lost interest in them. But I want to show you something that a lot of people probably don't notice when they're watching the video. What do you think this is? Huh? What do you guys think this is right here? At the tail, you know, of this, look here. Hey, it looks like a ninja star. Looks like a ninja star. It's not a ninja star. I'll tell you this. Let's see if, look, people in the chat know. Alright, it's the symbol of progress. It's the symbol of peace, right? So, I'll show you something else and then I'll get my point. Let's see. Coca-Cola, ein Reich, ein Volk. Look at this. Look at this. One people, one Reich. Eingetränk Coke ist es. Olympische Berlin 1936. My point with this is that before World War II, a lot of the English-speaking nations had very close ties with Germany. They didn't view them as enemies. They didn't view them as an evil ideology at the time. A lot of people from the United States would go to Germany to study, or they would go to USSR to study. They would have like exchange students programs. And it's interesting to point out that the ideology didn't catch in the United States, even through peace times, right? Like, it didn't have a massive communist uprising, and it didn't have a massive national socialist uprising. There's many factors that have to do with this: philosophical, economical. Both the USSR and Germany, they hated capitalism with a passion. The Americans embraced capitalism with a passion. And the philosophy as well, like, and I think Sargon actually mentions it a little bit, is the man of your own castle idea, where, the individual has a private life away from the state. But in fascism, you can't have a private life outside of the state, because nothing is outside of the state. Nothing is against the state. Everything is within the state. So it's like these different mindsets that exist, which don't make it possible. Nowadays, the progressive, they have this saying, which I call it cultural fascism, that everything is political. And when they say everything is political, what they mean is that your hobbies, the things you do in your private time, the things you do, like who you choose to associate with, like everything is political and everything can be criticized. You don't have a private life anymore. Which, in my opinion, goes against Enlightenment values and against the foundation of my country as well. Like, people should have a private life away from politics, and they should be able to enjoy certain things without being criticized for it. But anyway. Let's see what else we got. We got socialism doesn't take hold in countries without problems. The victors of wars are not faced with the problems of countries who lost and were unfairly treated like Germany and Russia was. Yeah, that's another point. I mean, most countries that go socialist either... I mean, that's not really true, because... You have the exception where the USSR started subverting nations and just sending their troops and tanks there, so they had no choice but to get through socialism. Like Poland, when you guys decided to go from the left and the Russians went from the right. I mean, by the way, let me show you something else. I don't know if I can actually on YouTube, because the algorithm is very picky. Look what you're making me do, Kubus. You're making me very naughty. Russian German joint parade. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, I think they deleted it. Huh. This is very interesting. Joint Soviet Nazi military parade in Poland. Yeah, this was a little bit interesting. A historical thing that a lot of people try to forget. You did have, after the Soviet Union and the Nazi Germany managed to conquer Poland, they had a major parade in the city of Brest and Litovsk. And the motorized corps of the Wehrmacht and the 29th Tanks Brigade of the Red Army participated in the parade. This is something you don't learn in the history books, now is it? I understand, realpolitik, as they call it. It's like, yeah, we're just going to do the things that are required to be done because of, pragmatism. But to have a military parade, I don't know, I think that's a little bit too far. I think that's a little bit too different. As Sargon, you don't give the Treaty of Versailles enough credit for the rise of totalitarianism. I disagree heavily with that. I actually said, and I'm on record, that if you want to stop World War II, a lot of people say, you need to smother baby Hitler. Smother him in the crib. Smother baby Hitler. The Young Turks were like, yeah, we'll smother him. We'll smother him with a pillow. If you want World War II not to happen, get Germany to win World War I, and then it doesn't happen. Communism and National Socialism are far-left ideologies that requires a large federal government. The U.S. has historically distrusted federal authority. That is also true. I'm not going to get into the left-right debate because from the American point of view, yeah, the National Socialists are left. You know what? Fine, I'll explain it again. In France, in the parliament, the people sitting to the left were the progressives, while the people sitting to the right were the conservatives. In Europe, progress means small government, right? Because in Europe, you had monarchy, you had absolutism, as it's called, like the king owns everything. While in America, it's the opposite. In America, the left means big government, while the right means small government, because when America started, it had a little government. So that is why people don't understand, the Nazis, left, right, blah, blah, blah. There we go. Depends from the point of view you're looking at things. The United States should have stayed out of World War I. Oh my God, the United States were savages, according to the Germans in World War I. I'll make a video about it. It's very interesting, right? The American brought the worst possible weapon in World War I. And we're talking about a period where the Germans had the flamethrower and the German had the gas. What do you think the United States brought that really upset the Germans? That got the Germans to call the Americans savages? What weapon do you think they brought in the front lines? Let's see if people know. No, it's not mustard gas. That's the German. Oh, no, people know the shotguns. Yes, the shotguns. Let me see if I can find the picture. It wasn't called the shotgun at the time. It was called the trench gun. And I actually saw someone firing a historical replica of the trench gun. And Jesus fucking Christ, I would not be willing to be on the receiving end of that shite. I can definitely understand why when going into a small trench, look at the savages, look here, look at them, this is barbaric. Why can't you use mustard gas like normal people? I can't imagine being in a trench and having to face off against this shite. Right, so what's even interesting, there's this anime called Tanya the Evil, which is basically set in an alternative World War I period, and Tanya, I think, is represented by the Red Baron. But anyway, at one point, someone else has a shotgun, and Tanya goes like, oh, look, the savages. But anyway, right, so it's funny because Germany actually said that anyone caught with a shotgun or anyone caught carrying shells, the munition, is going to be shot. To which the Americans replied, if that's the case, anyone caught with a flamethrower or anyone caught with mustard gas is going to be shot. No one got shot, by the way. The prisoners of war were treated according to the Convention of War, the Treaty of Worms, I believe it was. Yeah. Shotguns. Savages. Takes the skill away. takes the skill away. There's also something else that's interesting. A lot of people don't know. The Germans, the Luftwaffe, they used to have like this chivalry code. The Knights of the Air, they call themselves. And apparently, part of the code was not to shoot down a person parachuting itself. And the British were actually amazed because they had a lot of air engagements over their cities, and the Germans, they could have took down important assets because training a pilot back then was quite difficult. You didn't have any VR or electronic capability simulators in order to simulate flight. No, you basically got the young lad in a plane and told him to fly. I'm in stereo. Echo? Why is there an echo? Testing. Let me see what is going on here. Because they had a lot. No, it's gone now. I didn't click anything. That's really weird. Right. So yeah, the British. They were surprised because the Germans were giving away a tactical advantage. By not shooting the pilots, it means the pilots will land on the ground and then be given another plane. But then they met the Russians, and the Russians, they called their planes flying coffins, and they would go to shoot people that were parachuting. And then that's when the war took a turn from the worst. Someone didn't know that. There is this song, Sabaton, called, I believe, No Bullets Fly, which tells the story of a German who needed one more kill in order to get his Iron Cross. So he sees this this British bomber flying overhead. He rearms and refuels and goes to take it down. But when he approaches, he notices that the bomber was heavily shot, the people inside were wounded. It had no way to defend itself, and he considered that to be just as a person parachuting themselves. So what he did is he actually flew in formation so the anti-air guns from below can't shoot at him. And once he was over the British Channel, he saluted and departed. And, the people in the plane were awestruck, they were bewildered by it. And the commander told them not to tell this story to their men because obviously it wouldn't help with the war effort, humanizing Germans. And after the war, the British officer, the British pilot actually tried to find this German pilot. So he wrote letters to different flight enthusiasts, and eventually he found it, and they had a really nice reunion, and they talked about it, and they shared war stories. You can find it on YouTube. It's very interesting. A little bit humanizing the enemy in a time of great human crisis. The Kaiserreich was very humane with prisoners. They even released British soldiers to get home to their dying mothers if they promised to come back in captivity. Bet you didn't know that. Bet I knew. The Americans were also very interesting. Jesus, why am I sharing war stories now? Huh? The Americans, when they got to World War I, they were very inexperienced. And because of lack of communications, they told the people to advance. And one battalion actually managed to get through enemy lines. And they kept advancing until they were completely encircled by the Germans. And I think at one point they managed to send the pigeon back, and their own artillery started shelling their locations and doing friendly fire. But what's interesting is that it's called the Last Battalion, and you can Google it. And the Americans, they managed to hold off quite a bit of Germans, even though the command was made out of incompetent people. Was the Last Battalion. How did the Russians treat the German POWs? Very poorly. There are different reasons why POWs were treated poorly during World War II. One of these reasons is obviously animosity and ideology, but the other was that, think about it this way, if the soldier in the front line barely has any food to eat, do you think the POWs are going to get more food? It was horrible. The United States also treated the Germans very badly. They had these internment camps that history doesn't talk about. They would take the prisoners, put them in a location in the open, and just leave them there with no food, nothing, leave them to the elements. And this is after the war, all right? Like after the war was over. This is like why I don't like people who look at the war and they go, this is black and this is white. There is no good and evil in war. Both sides are committing atrocities. In every single war, like I don't know a war where one side is civilized and kind and they respect all of the treaties while the other side is just evil, constantly breaks treaties and whatnot. So Alex Purse is upset. He didn't join to learn history. Well, let's talk about progressivism then, because this is the most progressive news that I've heard. Apparently, Germany is so progressive that even the penguins are becoming gay and they're adopting baby chicks. 2 male penguins at the Berlin Zoo have been caring for an abandoned egg since July in their long quest to become parents. They probably interviewed the penguins. Why are you doing this? I want to become a parent. The same-sex couple are keen to have a chick of their own and have even been known to try to hatch fish and stones. He said that 2 king penguins adopted the egg, which had been abandoned by the sole female of the species at the zoo, and are behaving like model parents, taking turns to keep the egg warm by nesting it on their feet under a flap of belly skin. My God. We just had to put it on the feet of one of the guys and he already knew what to do. The female in the group of 6 penguins has shown little interest in her eggs, so she's broken. Isn't this very progressive? Like, this to me is where I want things to go at. I love this story so much. We have so much to learn from penguins. There's no bigotry. The 10-year-old pair moved to Berlin from Hamburg in April and have been inseparable ever since. Gay penguins of either sex are nothing new and are to be found both in wild and captivity. But the heartache comes from the thing is, we don't know if the egg was fertilized. Oh my God. If they are lucky, Berlin Zoo will welcome its first chick born to a same-sex couple in early September! Oh! Why is the BBC reporting on this? Like, is this international news? Huh? Astonishing. I'll go back to something that I talked at the beginning and a lot of people probably don't know. There is a very problematic episode in The Simpsons. You know what? Like, fine, I'll play it. By the way, if you guys want to start recording the stream now, I would appreciate it because I will take it down since I'm going to play this copyrighted content. If I get like a copyright claim, I will remove it. If it's not claimed, then I will leave it up. Either way, you might find it on BitChute. Look at this, what I found in The Simpsons.
So, everybody good? Why did you get us diversity kittens on Melting Pot Mountain?
It's more fun to play with a ball of yarn if it has all the colors in it.
And yarn should be allowed to marry dental floss.
So, everybody...
Yeah, that's a big yikes from me. That is a big yikes. What did the Simpsons mean by this, I wonder? Why are the huh? Can anyone in the chat? Anyone in the chat help? Big yikes. Probably too much soy in the penguin food. Will I cover the September elections in Germany? No, because they're in German. Also, you're probably going to get the Green Party. And not to mention, like, what exactly am I supposed to cover? You got, like, what? Far left, extremely far left, left, communist, very left, and you have, like, a party that's a little bit centrist that's called the AfD. My God. People are disavowing. Ja, ich spreche Deutsch. Not very well. A little bit. Like if someone talks Nazi to me, I'll understand it, but trying to express myself or actually read the entire newspaper, not that well. My God. Yeah, the Simpsons. Back when humor actually existed. Back when people could actually talk about things and it was funny to talk about. Let's see what we can talk about today. I'll probably have this video on my main channel because it's from Romania. See, I kept telling people that I'll do a Romanian story per day, and I don't want to disappoint. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't find it, I'll just tell you what happened, then you're going to see it in tomorrow's video. Okay, I can't find the article, but never mind, I found it. Haha. Haha, I found it. Haha. Have you ever experienced this, right? You're watching a movie, and usually it's an action film, right? Like Need for Speed or something. The Fast and the Furious. Sorry, my bad. Fast and the Furious. And in Fast and Furious, you see all these cool cars, you know, these sports cars, these Jaguars, these very, very expensive cars that are blowing up, you know, and you're thinking, it's like, motherfucker, like, instead of blowing it up, can you give it to me? Did you guys experience this, or is it just an Eastern European thing? You know, is it just an Eastern European trend where you basically watch a car explode and you're like, damn it, why did it explode? Why did you blow up a perfectly good Jaguar, a perfectly good sports car? Because a lot of Eastern Europeans are thinking about this, right? But now I found at least when I see a movie where, you know, expensive cars get to explode, I think, you know, like, yeah, I mean, the guy probably paid a couple of $1 million to buy that car, but at least they make money out of it. You know, it's like an investment. You invest $1 million in that car, and then you get like extra money for the movie, right? But I'm going to tell you a story now that's a little bit creepy for people like me who don't appreciate wastefulness. So a Romanian kid, Romanian child, got a present from his parents. He got a BMW. Isn't this nice to get a BMW as a present from mommy and daddy? However, he didn't want a BMW. He wanted a different car model. So what he does is he pushed the BMW into the river in order to stick it to his parents. You know, how dare you, mommy and daddy, not buying me the car I want. Apparently the car was almost $50,000, but he didn't want it because he just wanted the Jaguar. He wanted a Jaguar, which was just $10 million more expensive. You know, like, I think that this might have to do with the fact that they don't spank kids anymore. When I grew up, you know, I remember when I was doing something like that, well, not pushing a car into a river because I didn't have a car to push in a river. But let's say, like, you know, my parents would buy me a gift. You know, like a sweater on Christmas. I hated getting clothes on Christmas. I'd be like, what is this filth? Blech. And I would throw it. The next words I would hear would be, go get daddy's belt. You know, like that. It was like that. Go get daddy's belt. 4 words. 4 magical words. And it wasn't just, you know, the physical punishment aspect of it. Because go get daddy's belt also involved the psychological trauma of having to take the journey, to undertake the journey towards said belt. You know, like the dad could have got off his ass and got the belt himself. But, no, like I had to do it. And it was like the longest journey. You know, the longest journey, like that video, when I first found that video game, I thought it's about getting daddy's belt, but no. And, you know, like, we have this expression, like, spare the rod, spoil the child. Yeah, I'll talk it in a video about it. You know, it's really interesting. But when you see articles like this, with a kid getting a free BMW and then throwing it in the river because he wanted the Jaguar, I'm starting to become more pro-choice than I used to be. I'm starting to become, you know, like, for the late-term abortion, like, yeah, maybe it's a good thing. You know, maybe it's not so bad. If a kid who doesn't know the concept of responsibility doesn't get to know borders with physical punishments, it does what it wants. Surprise. Yeah, you know, like, I remember Mr. Medicare, and I think a lot of people were criticizing, what was his name? God damn it. Jordan Peterson. Because he's like, clean your room, bucko. You know, I think some people need to understand that they need to clean their fucking room. Do you think this kid who got a free BMW for $50,000 is cleaning his room? He probably has a maid that does it for him. You know, he probably has a cleaning lady. I don't think that guy cleans his room. You know? Why doesn't he just trade it in? Because a Jaguar costs $10 million and the car he got costs $50,000. Alright? I don't think, I don't know what trading in would be like. I asked about Romanian versus Portuguese last stream. I meant language. How similar is it? I don't know. I've never spoken Portuguese. I could find some stories from Germany from Romanian criminals for your channel. They are getting more than they are getting more the more Romanians we get. I mean, if someone from Romania goes into Germany and commits a crime, I hope they get locked up. You know, like, what else do you want me to say about it? It makes people like me look bad. When I go and visit another country, I don't want people to associate me with criminals, so I hope they get the harshest punishment in order to learn not to commit crimes. Unfortunately, it's on the back of the German taxpayer, but, you know, there's nothing I can do about that. The only thing I can do is when I go somewhere else, I don't commit crimes. Okay, let's look at something else about far-right Matteo Salvini. Salvini. The evil. Look, this is the face of evil. The face of hatred. Apparently, a Hollywood actor, Richard Gere, okay, he decided to lit up the beacons, you know, to start signaling the virtue. The beacons are lit, the virtue is signaling. And he started lecturing the Italian government to assist migrants. To which Matteo Salvini gave an interesting response. You know, like, I should make a video called clickbaity headline. Rich Hollywood actor lectures Salvini. The response, Salvini gave best response. You know, where Salvini tells this globalist the best response. How did they used to make those clickbaity articles? You know, it's like, a racist does something. What the response that he got was the best or something like that. I'll need to look it up because they used to make like articles after articles after articles like this, you know. Racist does something, brave and stunning woman gives best response. So Matteo Salvini says, given this generous millionaire is voicing concern for the fate of the open arms migrants, we thank him. He can take back to Hollywood on his private plane all the people abroad and support them in his villas. Thank you, Richard. So he's got like the permission of the Italian government to take all these people and take him to his villa. And the thumbnail of the video that I should make about it should absolutely be this. You know, this is where the European Union voters and the worshippers of celebrities and the worshippers of politicians get to live. And this is where the EU dictators, EU benefactors, the celebrities and the globalists live. You know, like, if you look at Zuckerberg, if you look at Soros, if you look at all these people that are for open borders, when you go to where they live, they have walls with private security and with video cameras surrounding their place. I don't have a wall around my building. I don't have security cameras. Well, actually, I do. No, never mind. There is a camera in the building because I pressured the association of like every block has a president. You know that we call it like an administrator. So I pressured the administrator after my switch was stolen by one of the workers, and someone from upstairs had his bike stolen. So yeah, we should have cameras. So okay, I have cameras. Right? I have cameras, but I don't have a private security team. You know, I don't have a wall around my house. Oh my fucking god! But I guess this is how it's like to live in Hollywood. You say the correct things. You need to show that you're progressive, and everyone goes like, "Oh!" I'm like, motherfucker, you got a villa. You got a villa. Take some people in. Take some homeless people in. Watch the cat video. The penguins were less gay. FU, sorry. FU crazy. FU. My cats are not gay. You sure the camera is working though? Well, I don't know, like if Epstein comes visit, I'm pretty sure like the camera would stop working. Yeah, by the way, for those of you who just joined and I didn't say this, like initially I thought it's a joke, but apparently no, it's true. Like Epstein, apparently when he killed himself, the camera malfunctioned. I mean, maybe he had like Bayonetta sword, the one that slices through dimensions, and it crushed his spirit and it exploded with spiritual energy and it got the camera to malfunction. Oh my fucking god. Open borders for prisons. This is also an interesting concept. Look at this, like maybe I should make a video about this because this is like really interesting. This did not age very well. FBI document warns conspiracy theories are new domestic terrorist threat. Why didn't you say so, right? So this was on August the 1st. August the 1st. So, let's see. On August the 1st, if you were to say, I think Epstein is going to kill himself in prison, would that be a conspiracy theory? Oh my god, this is like, I understand that there are crazy people that push certain theories that are harmful. Like, for example, people saying, vaccines cause autism. And it kind of poisons the discussion because if I were to say that the flu shot is kind of redundant and I would give, like, medical arguments why it is, like, people would say, oh, so you're an anti-vaxxer. It's like, no, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, I just know how the science works. But, what's interesting about this is that because of this, they used to say that any sort of doubt that you have from like an official source, then clearly you're pushing a conspiracy theory and you're a domestic terrorist threat. It's like a little bit. Yeah, I mean, at this point, like let's look at the definition of a conspiracy theory, right? Let's look at it. Let's look at what does conspiracy theory means according to Wikipedia, Conspiracy theory is an explanation of an event or situation that invokes a conspiracy by sinister and powerful actors, often political in motivation, when other explanations are more probable. So you want me to believe that the VIP from that prison, which should have been on suicide watch, just happened to be taken off of suicide watch, and while killing himself, the camera malfunctioned. I think the government is pushing a conspiracy theory now. I genuinely think that this is the least plausible explanation. Like out of all everything, like this is the least plausible possible explanation that you can say. I mean, you're telling me, right, that an event done by a sinister and powerful actor, like the guy who was in prison, he was so sinister and powerful that he managed to kill himself and remove his suicide watch and also get the camera to malfunction. Oh my god. Not even blue pill normies believe that. You can't believe that. It's too ridiculous. Like, honestly, it's like a movie. You know, it's like the setting from Die Hard or some shit. You know, it's like, they died and the camera just happens to be malfunctioning. Like, come on. It's insane. Anyway, I'm rather likely to believe that a time traveler did it. You know, than to believe this. Oh my god. Yeah, so anyway, this is another thing that's stunning and brave and people want me to talk about it, but a woman knelt down in front of riot police who have been firing tear gas. Stunning and brave, John. Stunning and brave. You know, like, people are complaining about tear gas, and I kind of understand, you know, like, tear gas is bad. But back in the day, they used to shoot people. Let me show you an example. This is why you actually celebrate labor, which is also like a communist celebration. You know, like the Workers' Day. We have it here in Europe. Let me see if I can. Okay, so it's called the Haymarket Affair. And the Haymarket Affair, you had in the United States the socialists were unionizing, and you know they were demanding shite. And someone threw a Molotov at the cops, and the cops just opened fire. Yeah, they just mowed down the protesters. And this is like a lot of people forget, but you know, not that long ago, this is how riots would end. It's like they wouldn't, you know, use rubber bullets, use batons, use tear gas, use peppers. No, like, they would come in, they would send the military, and you know, like, the crowd would disperse. So, you know, like, when you understand history, it's a little bit more interesting. Like, I have a lot more respect for the people that were protesting back in the day than the people that are protesting now. The Brits were the first to ever use tanks to suppress a civil unrest right after World War I. I'm not surprised. You know, I'm genuinely not surprised. And again, like, it wasn't the Brits that were this violent. Like, every nation back in the day, if you had civil unrest, they would bring forth the army or the police with weapons, and they would fire on the crowd. You know, it's how things were done back then. And now it's different. It's more civilized. In some countries, like Venezuela, they aren't civilized. They will bring the tanks and run over protesters. Anyway, the stream is about penguins, man. Thank you for watching. Again, if it gets copyright claimed by the Simpsons, I'll remove it. If anyone has recorded it, you have my permission to upload it on your channel. And thank you very much for the contribution, Kubus7. Thank you for the Deutsche Money. Brian Avezo, Crazy Cripple, Seth M, and Matthew Hammond, as well as everyone else who donated. I appreciate it, and I'll see you tomorrow in my video.